Good afternoon everyone, today I will present you the study I made from my internship at CSEM, analysis of the digitalization of Swiss manufacturing SME through the prism of the human factor. Here we can take a look at the summary. First, the aim and the methodology of the study will be present, and we will discuss of its main findings and its root cause. Finally, we will talk about the key takeaway and a brief conclusion. First, the aim of the study. The main objective of the study was to measure the current state of digitalization of Swiss manufacturing SME. It was a question of defining a kind of scale of digital maturity and ongoing project. The second goal of the study was to understand the real challenge of digitalization for the SME. What are they digitalizing? What works? What are holding them back? And what is not working? The third objective was to understand the impact and role of the human factor in the digitalization process, as well as the importance of the human resource in this process. Finally, I was asked to make recommendations to enhance and smooth the digital transformation in accordance with the result of the study and the economic literature. Now I will present you the methodology of the study. The methodology of the study consists of an explanatory method and a triangulation of sources. The primary sources of information therefore come from 14 qualitative interviews conducted with 10 business leaders, 3 digitalization experts and 1 human resource specialist. The participants in the study came mainly from Zurich, Vaud and Neuchâtel. Business leaders were able to give their findings, what they were currently doing, and their real constraints, while the experts gave more general observation and were able to give precise trends. It should be noted that they did not pace the same survey. In addition, recent visits for an average of 2 hours and a half per interview were made to better understand the reality on the ground. The 11 other meetings were shorter if we follow the duration means. For the secondary data, I chose to look at many sources, but the main sources were Harvard Business Review, McKinsey Company, Deloitte, Swiss Info, and the economic research literature. Now for the main findings, the following elements only concern factory to be digitalized and should not be confused with startups. They are fundamentally different and we only be interested in this specific category. Digitalization is in vogue. Digitalization is in fashion. The economic shock of COVID has demonstrated the interest of digitalizing, especially regarding the operational part of work, and even sharper interest has crystallized in predictive maintenance. SMEs that already started the digitalization process were able to keep their productivity intact, but those that had not invested suffered heavily. Those who have digitalized are digitalizing more, but the digitalization effort has stopped among those who have to reallocate their resources elsewhere to survive the crisis. Swiss SMEs are not digitally mature yet. The companies surveyed are not yet at the stage of digital maturity, although they are increasingly interested and know where to start and don't know how to start a transition. In addition, they don't know what skills they need to obtain. In short, they can't take advantage of the benefit of digitalization and don't necessarily want to adapt their business models. There's 2 factors in there to the digitalization process. Despite a real desire to do well, this is mainly due to the fact that operation prevent business leaders from being able to focus on the strategic aspect of the business. To continue, it is necessary to invest a lot to succeed in a project of this type, and their short-termism constrains them interaction. Plus, they confuse digitalization and digitization. The same difference limits the gain that this digitalization could bring them. For example, the diversification that is possible with the digital transformation and the business opportunities it brings them. The paradox of complexity is hindering the research and development process. There is a real paradox of complexity for the SME surveyed. On the one hand, machine and manufactured technological products are getting increasingly complex to develop and require more and more substantial skills. On the other hand, machine needs to be easier and easier to use for foreign operators. In order to measure the digitalization of SMEs, I decided to separate digitalization in 5 subcategories. This also aims to make companies understand that there is not only the industrial aspect of digitalization. The 5 acts are the operation of the company is currently doing its activities, the interaction with the customers, with marketing or the relationship they have into B2C or B2C, the product and services that the company is actually doing, the corporate strategy, what are they planning to do in the short and long terms, and finally the human factor, as is it the one that is converting the idea to an actual product and services. They also integrate the notion of human resource development and the human resource strategy. Assessment of the state of digitalization. To quote one of the interviewees, Swiss companies focus most of their effort on the operational part, then on customer interaction, and little on business strategy. While the operation axis is doing great, in other terms, company focus on this part, the interaction with customers is far less integrated within the digitalization strategy. Finally, they fail to focus on the corporate strategy. This means that they will fail to innovate and achieve real change in the way they are doing business. The human factors and the product and services categories cannot be assessed. For the root causes, the two main root causes are the short-termism and the managerial myopia of Swiss SMEs. As digitalization demands a lot of resources and takes time, SMEs that are not long-termists will not make the investment needed for the transformation to happen. Secondly, the managerial myopia was something that most of the interviewers suffered from. In short, there is a clear lack of strategy, and in these cases, it is really difficult to make the digitalization transformation a success. The most common trend of SME were the lack of resources, the mandatory versatility of employees, and the limited continuous training they offered. These elements make it impossible for SME to recruit specialists as they cannot intern due to the lack of resources, but they are not willing to offer continuous training and cannot ask an employee who have too much responsibilities to learn new skills. For example, some of them cannot afford data analysts or marketing specialists. A success factor for SMEs is above all an idea that makes you wow. It's a starting point that must have a commercial potential. Digitalization is about the technical part of the idea and does not develop the idea as such. Expert in SME support. This quote is very interesting as it shows a point of view only focused on the product and services. Most of the interview mainly talk about the operation categories, but as previously explained, digitalization is more than a technical issue. Finally, one could ask, what does the study bring in terms of novelty? So for the key takeaway, a qualitative regression that brings together the key success factors and the key failure factors to measure the performance of an SME in its digitalization process. In short, in taking account every factor to have an impact of the success rate of the digitalization of one manufacturing companies. A guide to digitalization, the STAR model, which is a managerial tool to guide the digital transformation of SMEs, and the Canva 1+1 digital business to succeed in a digital project, which is a managerial tool to coordinate the digital transformation of a specific activity like marketing. Here are all the factors that should be taken in account when making a digital transformation. You can see that some of them are the same, so it is technically incorrect. But what really needs to be understood is that not every factor has the same weight in this regression. It is more to show what is really important rather than really going for a technically right regression. For example, the best factor is the clarity of strategy as it will make you more successful, but the C too big is the worst of them all. As you can see, the smart small is the fivest of the success factor, as starting small will reduce the risk, saying too big will increase them more than having a clear strategy. Here you can see in detail some of the key success factors. For example, we have the clarity of the strategy, the specialization of a person of department, and the employee integration, and finally the cooperation. The STAR model is a tool for SMEs to give them interdigitalization. I will not go in detail as it is well explained in the report, but what is important to know is that there are 3 major steps to make your digital transformation a success. First, you have to prepare yourself for this project. In short, do a self-analysis of your company and choose the tools that you really need. Secondly, we have the action part, which is preparing your employee to collaborate on this project. And finally, we have the reflection part that will help you reflect on what you did fail and how the project are really being done. This is especially important as the STAR model is an iterative process. Once you have escalated the STAR, you have to start at the beginning again. Each of the steps is useful for this transformation, but the most important one will be present on the next slide. Here we have the clear link between the qualitative regression factors and the STAR model. For example, the self-analysis of business needs can be linked with the clarity of the strategy, or we are cool to rethinking your business model with the resilience of the business model. In this report, rather than linking the STAR model with the regression, I choose to link it with a recommendation. Finally, we can have a look into 1+1 digital business model Canva. First, you have to do the business model of your company in order to know how it is right now. Then you will have to integrate a new change that a digital transformation will bring into your actual business model. This model is suited for managing one specific transformation. It is made to facilitate the transformation process, taking into account the change that will happen to the company and the responsibilities of employees. To do so, 6 new blocks were added in green. These are to add operation part and the strategic part together in order to make this transformation a success. Now we will conclude this presentation. Here is a summary of the key action to take for SMEs. The focus is made on cooperation, action, strategy and delegation. For the cooperation, they are to ask for help, cooperate and share solutions. For the action, integrate employee to maximize the results. Strategy have a clear defined and dare to question it. And finally, delegate, choose a digitalization manager or subdivision for this role. To conclude, digitalization is on the rise, but it is still not enough. SMEs still need help, especially in the area of strategy and the acquisition of skills that they still lack. The study suffers from the following biases. The sample is not representative as it is too small, and the recommendation may lack objectivity. These are future possibilities for the SATW. Conduct a quantitative study on employee integration to understand the extent of employee non-integration. Research on how to innovate in terms of business model for manufacturing SME. Via la servicialization, seek competitive advantage through the business models. And finally, repeat a study in different industries to see the similarities and especially the difference, especially on startups. Finally, 2 ideas will be present. For example, we could simplify and centralize the sources that are available to SMEs, or we could do a pilot test of a small business mutual to see if they are willing to help each other. Note some participants showed concern over industrial espionage. In the report, you will see multiple forecasts or predictions about the future of the Swiss manufacturing industry, but to sum it up, the country will have to digitalize more and more to keep its competitive advantage. Its training system and its human resource management will have to be updated to adapt to digitalization. Human capital is not in danger, but the transition may be painful for a significant proportion of workers. Do you have any question? If you have, I invite you warmly to have a look at the study. I thank you for your attention. Here in this diapo you can see some extracts from the study. If you want to get an extract of the study, you can scan this QR code.